now that I am so much more regulated, right, I can make a decision based on the data and get the drama out of the way. And that's really, really
Mm.
powerful, right? I've had clients come to me and they're like, you know what? Oh my gosh, I'm just not doing so good. I'm not where I thought I was. And I said, hold up, let's look at the numbers. She had grown 184% in the last 2 years.
Welcome to Career Coaching Secrets, the podcast where we talk with successful career coaches on how they built their success and the hard lessons they learned along the way. My name is Davis Nguyen, and I'm the founder of Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to $100,000 years, $100,000 months, and even $100,000 weeks. Before Purple Circle, I've grown several 7- and 8-figure career coaching businesses myself, and have been a consultant at 2 career coaching businesses that are doing over $100 million each. Whether you're an established coach or building your practice for the first time, you'll discover the secrets to elevating your coaching business.
Welcome to Career Coaching Secrets Podcast. I'm Kevin, and today we're joined by Helen Eimers. She's been a coach for 9+ years. Welcome to the show, Helen.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
Oh my God, we're having such a great precast conversation about like mushroom coffee, your previous nursing career. One of the things I'm very, very, very curious about is your origin story, the beginning, the lore. And so you could have been a sushi chef, you could have been a professional gamer, but out of all the things you chose coaching. And so I'm kind of curious, what made you want to become a coach and turn it into a business?
Great question. So just going way back into my memory from when I was a child, I've always been a natural leader, right? Like we're on the team and I'm like, yeah, let's go. I'm always cheering someone on. My goal was at that point in my life to just make everyone happy, right? Everyone should enjoy this. Everyone should be happy. So that kind of led to me being a natural leader, someone who would just kind of lead the troops, lead the gang, lead the team. And I wasn't afraid to, talk in public and share all these things. And I loved helping people. And so I went into nursing because in high school, they're like, hey, what do you want to do with your life? I'm like, I really don't know, right? I wanted to be a marine biologist, but, voices in my head were like, well, you don't make any money doing that. You should go ahead and be a doctor. And I didn't want to go to school for that long. So I became a nurse because I love to help people. And so I went to nursing school and it was amazing. I loved it. I learned so much. I worked at a small hospital, but I soon learned that I was trying to save everyone, right? And as a nurse, like that's what they teach you to do. They teach you to save everyone. And so here I was in the small hospital doing all sorts of things, right? You're the pharmacist, you're the trauma team, you're the labor and delivery nurse, you're everything. And I soon got really burnt out. And some of my thoughts at that time were like, nobody cares. I'm the only one that's doing anything. And those thoughts alone were keeping me in a place of burnout, right? And I was overwhelmed. And so I just knew that there had to be more, right? How can I help people in a different capacity? And so I started looking for clinic jobs. And at the same time, I was looking for work from home nurse jobs because I had a few small kids. And so I pursued a job for 2 years. I worked at a clinic for 2 years, pursued a job for 2 years, and actually became a case manager, eventually a nurse trainer for a company. And we did federal workers' comp claims. And from there, my nursing, it was amazing. It was so phenomenal. And so I traveled to DC. It was a woman-owned company. And literally when I called them, here's what most of my experiences in life are like. I called this company, like I applied so many places. I'm a small town girl in South Dakota. And like when you apply for a job, like you get the job. Like if there's nobody else, right? Like you typically get the job, especially if you have a decent work ethic, because there's just not a lot of people. So I kept applying for these work from home nurse jobs and nobody was calling me back. And I was like feeling defeated. So anyway, I reached out and this gal called me, Barbara, and she said, how did you hear about us? It was a small woman-owned company. There were like 10 to 15 people. And I said, well, I found you online. And she's like, well, here's the deal. Like number one, we're not hiring right now. Number two, you have no experience. So like, we're not going to hire you, but it's nice that you called, So I said, how do I get the experience? Right. So I've always been someone who's been professionally persistent, I like to call it. So every 3 months I'd check in, I'd be adding to my resume. After 2 years, they hired me. I was the first nurse they'd hired without any case management experience, but they saw my tenacity and they saw my persistence and they wanted that on their team. So I worked for them for 8 years, became their nurse trainer. When I started there, I think it was under 20 employees and they grew so much to, I think it was 75. I was flying to DC to train new nurses, doing all of their onboarding. So I became more of human resources, onboarding, training, which is what I loved to do. And in the same process, I went through my own transformation of my health through Beachbody. And so everyone was like, what are you
Mm.
doing? What are you doing? And I'm like, oh, I'm just like doing these workouts, drinking these shakes. Like, you should do it with me. So I ran accountability groups on the back end of the Beachbody portal for 3 years. Every single month for 3 years, I'd show up, I'd have these groups. I was literally getting like 4 hours of sleep a night. I was maybe making 10 cents an hour, because it's all referral, it's all just commission based. But I loved it. And these women were amazing. But what would happen is they'd get amazing results. And then after the group was over, they'd go back to their old habits. And I'm like, wait, I want to help these women on a deeper level. So I said to one woman, I said, I think, right, because she was just so focused on weight loss and talking about herself in really harmful ways and hurtful ways. And I said, you don't need weight loss. You need a life coach. And she said, can you do that? And I was like, yeah, I can. And so most of my career was built on people having a need, me saying yes and answering that call. And then I figure it out on the back end, right? I didn't go to school for business. And so it's been a self-discovery. And so from there, I began life coaching. And then I started to find that all of my most intentional, motivated, the women that I work with, they just have a mission and they have a vision, and most of which are business owners. So now I work with women entrepreneurs to help them amplify their income and their energy and their influence in this world, right? And it's really, really amazing. It's really beautiful. And I do that through coaching, hypnotherapy, like ministry work, businessry work, speaking, and just so many other platforms that God has led me to, has opened up for me to help these women just manage their thoughts, right? Because they're already doing it. It's just like they're burnt out, or they don't remember the last time they celebrated their success, or they're not feeling peace in it anymore, or it wasn't like they thought it would be. Because, anytime we go through a change, anytime we make a decision, it's the emotional cycles of change that I like to teach. And it starts with uninformed optimism, right? We have an idea. This sounds really good, AKA shiny object. And then we get into some uninformed, right? All of my clients have a shiny object list for this reason. And then we get into that uninformed pessimism, right? The voices that are like, oh, what did you do? You made a mistake. Or someone else saying, right? When I left my nursing career to be a coach, not everyone was like, wow, that's a great decision. That will help you be financially stable. Like, there wasn't anyone that said those types of things to me. So you just get that. And then you have to go through the valley of despair as you're going through change. And if you're willing to stay there and focus on your thoughts through that, you can get to the other side, which is success. So that's just like the tip of the iceberg story of how I became a coach, where I'm at. And every single piece of what I've done in the past in my nursing career as a coach, as a daughter, as a mother, as a wife, has just helped me add experience and expertise to the work that I share now.
Man, that story was so good. There's so many takeaways I had from it, but it shows your grit as an entrepreneur because, people were going up to you, they had a need, you just said yes, and then you figured it out, which was so beautiful. And so funny about, you said the shiny object thing, right? And we think things are a great idea, but Mike Tyson, he has a great quote: everybody has a plan until you get punched in the mouth. And that's what it kind of feels sometimes.
Yeah.
Something I am curious about in your story, you mentioned you help women entrepreneurs, right? And so I think there's like kind of a gap there that you didn't talk about, where like, how did these women kind of find you, and how do they find you today? Has it kind of changed over the years?
Yeah, great question. And so many of the women I work with, they've been in my space. They felt my energy. They've heard me speak on stage, right? I was just speaking in Texas on a few months ago. And the next day, one of the women there came up to me and she was just in tears. And she just said, I just felt like you were talking right to me. And the next week, we're working together. Within a month, she has completed a project that has been heavy on her heart and really dragging her down in her life and business since she started her business. And so when people come into my space through speaking, they find me on the internet, I get a lot of referrals from the women that I do work with. And that's how most of the women find me. It's very authentic. And also I'm always sharing, and I love to create, and I love to put stuff out there so that women can also find me as well. And I do a lot of networking. I love networking. I love it, love it, love it. I love to meet new people. And I love to, one of my friends, local friends, she's like, I'm going to ask you this question because you're the most resourceful person I know, right? It's like, if I can't do it, which I can't do everything, I know someone who can because I've put myself out there and met that person. And that's really where my clients come from. And again, that gap from like life coaching to coaching women entrepreneurs is because those women who have a vision and a mission and who are willing to show up and have that grit, like those are the women that I work with.
So it sounds like, you're doing this life coaching and you just noticed that a lot of these women probably have businesses and whatnot. Or was it kind of like an overnight pivot and you're like, oh my God, God, I'm just going to focus on women entrepreneurship.
No,
You see, have to know
anytime
where
I
the other
try
part.
to do like an overnight pivot, it feels very inauthentic. So, most of the time you're like going, going,
Mm,
going. And then you realize, right, when you're doing an audit on like, who am I helping? Who is my ideal client? It's like, oh, these are all the qualities of the women that I'm already helping. So it came very
yeah.
authentically. And yes, like I said, like I'm someone who many of us, and I work with perfectionists, I work with people pleasers, I work with empaths because I am all of those things or have tendencies of all of those things. So I know them well. And the main reason people work with me is because I'm vulnerable and I'm relatable and they don't feel alone and they feel supported and encouraged through it because I've been through it and I'm here to help them continue to navigate through it. And so most women will, wait to do something in their business until there's the perfect time. They will wait to start the business until there's the perfect time. And then there's Helen who says yes. And then within 24 hours, she figures out, how am I going to bill this client? What does this even look like? Is there a contract I should send? Right. And so most people think that to start a business, to run a business, to be a coach, like you have to have it all figured out. And like, let me just tell you, if you wait for that, you will never make any income because we never have it all figured out. Right.
I love that. Another thing I really liked about your story is just because a lot of times we feel like the need to like synthesize this ICP, this ideal client profile, right? But it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of funny how it naturally came and we're helping these people and you're just like, ooh, I'm already helping these people. I enjoy helping these people. Why not help these people further? And I
Right.
thought that's pretty inspiring there. Okay. So now people are referring you over, like you're getting referrals, you're doing speaking, you have an online presence, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm sure people are raising their hands and they're just like, hey, Helen, how do I work with you? What does a coaching engagement kind of look like? You mentioned a few different modalities, but I'm kind of curious, like, what does your coaching look like? It sounds like mostly one-on-one, but do you do group and other things like that? Very curious.
Great question. Yeah, I've come a long way and my processes have developed over time. And I know that it's not the end, right? I literally have a sticky note on my desk that says there is no final version of your life or your business. Because if you are building a business and trying to get to that end point to be happy or to be ready, like you're just going to keep dragging yourself through the mud. And so, first, I would just want to say there's no final version of your life or business. And secondly, the most powerful way to work with me is through my intensive called HypnoBiz. And what that looks like is that is one-on-one. And that's where I want to meet women where they're at because it is not all cookie cutter, right? We all have different businesses that we're navigating through, different things in life that we're navigating through. But I help women come into a space of really recognizing their blessings and
Mhm.
then helping them with the breakthroughs that are next in line for them. Because a lot of women that I work with feel stuck or feel like they're spinning their wheels or continue to repeat habits, whether in their work or business or their life or business, that continue to hold them back. So that HypnoBiz intensive would look like 1 month working together. And I don't know if I love the word intensive. Like, right, I heard someone talk about a program recently and she's like, I thought it'd be a whole lot of work, but it's actually a whole lot of love. And that's what I would say my program is just like love and encouragement from a coaching perspective, right? So when women come in, because I'm an empath, because I love so much, and there's, right, like I'm a lover of all people, I love to use props. I have my glasses here so I can see everyone through the lens of love, my heart shaped glasses, right? Like God does. So I use a lot of props. But in saying that, what happens is this truth that comes out. Now, I can tell women all day long what I see in them, what they should do, what's their next best step, but that doesn't help them, right? I want to help them to get to that next step. And most high achieving women are go-getters. So they don't stop long enough to evaluate this. They don't stop long enough to listen. So I help them with hypnotherapy session, which really feels like a guided meditation and coming to your own truth. I don't suggest anything. I don't make you do anything crazy. I just really help you connect with your heart and your truth for where your life and your business is meant to go. And then after that, we strategize together and then you get to implement and integrate. And I'm there to support you and encourage you all the way. And if it works really well in the intensive, in our one-on-one work, then I share an invite from my mastermind, which is called the Amplify Academy, which is the fun place to be because that's a whole group of like-minded women showing up to support and encourage each other and share, right? Like just before I got on this podcast interview, I had my Amplify Power Hour and, women were sharing about debt that they had that they hadn't looked at or told anyone for years. And that literally was holding them back, right? And so we were talking so much about taking ownership. And when you take ownership, that's when you can change. Only and if you take ownership and acknowledge, that's when you can change, whether it's your feelings or your thoughts or some piece of data, right? Because many of us hide, right? We're just like bury our head in the sand, don't want to deal with it. So I help women safely navigate through that. And it's really, really powerful.
Man, what's really interesting too, because I'm actually really into hypnotherapy as well. But out of all the modalities, how did you come to hypnotherapy? Because I think it gets a bad rap sometimes where it's like, oh, yeah, it's this woo woo esoteric type of thing. But how did you kind of decide on hypnotherapy as being one of the modalities that you use for your clients?
Great question. And I love that you say that. And yes, it gets a bad rap. I've gotten many comments from people who are very close to me or in my religious space who have said things that could have stopped me from doing it. And really, the terms that we use are, to me, just feel like a formality, right? It's like the work that happens inside of that. So I'm not snapping my fingers and making anyone go to sleep. I have no control over you, period. And so it's really leading you to the truth. But how I got into hypnotherapy was I went to a Heal the Healers retreat. And it was just like this small retreat in Mitchell, South Dakota. Some women that I admired were doing it. And I'm like, I'm a healer, right? And I know myself. I'm an empath. So I have to be very intentional about the energy I take on, about the energy, because I care so much. And the women that I work with are the same way, right? They're often exhausted because they don't want to hurt their employees' feelings or that, like they're just letting things slide by, right? But there's a way we can do and show up out of love that supports everyone in the picture. So anyway, I went to this retreat. I had the most incredible healing and truth and awareness and ownership and acknowledgement in that space than I've ever had in my entire life. And I had no idea it was hypnotherapy. They didn't say the word anywhere. They didn't rate like it, and they got done. I said, what just happened? And they kind of explained the modalities that they were using. And I said, I need to help people do this. I just knew I needed to help people do this. And it brought me closer to my spirituality. It brought me closer to God. And it was so beautiful. So with anything, there can be occult ways to do it. The way that I'm trained in hypnotherapy is conscious heart hypnotherapy, simply a connection to your heart, simply a listening, right? So if you believe in God, God is going to be there with you. And God is always with me when I lead women through the sessions. And so that's how I got into it. And it's just been phenomenal. I mean, yesterday after one of my sessions, the woman who was on the call, she just said, that was fantastic. Like, it's just like this piece that you get to own and that you get to create within yourself that maybe you've never felt before. And like, what a gift. Because you can keep going, you keep slave driving.
Yeah.
But you know what that feels like.
Yeah, it's interesting. Before we move on to the next topic, I just want to touch upon this point where when I did hypnotherapy for the first time, I spent not hours, I'm exaggerating, but a good hour, just crying and stuff and just seeing all these pieces that I've never really explored before and all that.
100%.
It almost feels like guided shadow work sometimes, right? And yeah, so powerful, such a powerful thing. And I'm glad that I appreciate that you do hypnotherapy and lead women through that as well, because I know how transformational that is.
Thank you.
Yeah. Something else I'm very, very curious about, because, things like transformation, right? We know deep down in our hearts, it's very meaningful, very impactful. And things like hypnotherapy, for you and me, they've changed our lives, right? But, also on the other end, it's we're also businesses. And so one of the things I'm curious about is how do you think about charging for your services? Obviously, you don't have to give any hard numbers, but I'm kind of curious about the story of how you structured your pricing and how you came up with the initial numbers, any pricing strategies that you gravitated to, whether it's packages, retainers, value-based, so many different ways to price. So how has it evolved over the years for yourself, Helen?
Great question. Well, first of all, I've done hundreds of thousands, I feel like, hours of work around money mindset, because growing up a Christian, and I still am a Christian, I'm a Catholic, and I love my faith and religion, but there are always struggles in that. There are always thoughts or maybe truths that people, thoughts that people, think are true or portray, right? And we all have opinions. We all have thoughts. And I'm showing up and doing the best that I can with what I have and really what also feels good and what God's telling me to do. So I'll preface it with that. But when you grow up in a space, right? And I grew up in a household that had a very fixed mindset, right? I grew up in a great family, right? But I think a lot of us did, right? We learn these thoughts that really come and stay subconscious, right? And some of those thoughts were, and my dad was an entrepreneur and he was a plumber entrepreneur. And so like he worked hard, physical hard work every day. And I know he didn't make a lot of money. And so, if someone else were making money, there might be a comment like, oh, like must be nice or whatever they're doing. Right. And that didn't come from him. Right. But it was like always this like, well, you shouldn't make money or it's not the godly thing to do to make money or to charge people. And then when you are in a religion, a lot of times people can perceive that voice of, you have to give everything. And I am a generosity maven. My vision is to give half as much as I make. And I've realized that's not just with money, right? I do a lot of volunteering. I am, the head of the backpack program. I teach confirmation at my church. And I choose to do that, right? I choose to do that. And so generosity doesn't always have to mean like we're handing over our money or we can't charge or we have to give things away for free. And so I've done so much work on money mindset. One of my most favorite books, most simple books about money mindset is Happy Money by Ken Honda. Have you read it?
No, this is the first time. I'm actually pulling it up on my Amazon list.
Yeah, it's very like simple, but he talks about, and this is like my husband and I was getting gas last night and he got out, we were talking and we got gas. And here's what I do after I get gas. I lovingly touch the gas pump. And it's like, yeah, he's like, oh, this is what you do. And I was like, he's probably like, why don't you lovingly touch me? Right. But it was like, put my hand up there because I'm so thankful. Right. I'm so thankful for the money that I have to buy gas. And I hear so many people say like groceries are so high and the price of things are so high. And I'm like, ooh, that's an energy you're putting around money. Right. So number one, as a coach, as an entrepreneur, support yourself with learning about money and identifying those thoughts that might be holding you back when it comes to pricing, when it comes to making money. So Happy Money by Ken Honda. Another book I read, The Soul of Money by Lynn Twist. Very good book. I love her story in there about how she meets Mother Teresa. And she did a lot of nonprofit stuff too. And so first of all, work on your money stories. Because for a long time, I would do sales calls. I would get on a call with a woman and, she'd be excited about my program and I'd tell her everything. And then we'd talk about price and my hands would go up and my voice would go up. Like I'd record myself. I'm like, what am I doing wrong? Why aren't these women buying? And it was like Talladega Nights, if you've ever seen the movie. He's like, where do I put my hands? Like it was just like this weird thing that I could tell I had blocks around this. And so breaking through from that is the most important thing for any business owner or entrepreneur so that you can connect with your value, right? So that you can really connect with your value. So what I've found most helpful is I have 3 different tracks per se, right? I have a membership where women can join as a subscription. They can join at a monthly rate and then leave at any time. And that's priced under $100 so that it's an easy decision to make. And then I have my HypnoBiz Intensive, which is a 1 month. And then from there, they can up level to my mastermind, which is a monthly membership. It's a 9-month membership. And I have some women in there who've gone several rounds in that because they love the support. They love the encouragement. They love the space. And so that's kind of my pricing model that I have that's been able to create diversity, right? Because if you just have all your eggs in one basket, it can feel very scarce if you're not filling that basket.
Yeah, and also accessibility too, like as I'm thinking about it,
Yeah.
But you do bring up a really good point about the energy of money. I've kind of discovered this in my own life in the last like year or two where, especially hiring other people, right? Like team members and stuff for myself where it's like, oh my God, these people like doing things that drive me freaking crazy, right? Thank God for these people. And not only that, but I can support their living doing what they love. That's amazing. And so I feel really, really good paying out like my different team members and stuff. And you're right. It's about that energy like that you put into
100%. And like, legit, I've got some like, I've shared posts before. It's like, I love going to the grocery store. I love paying for my groceries. I do. If you don't love paying for your groceries, then don't pay for them, right? It's like just always a choice. And, people will come up with all sorts of excuses and that's okay, right? They're not my kind of people, but I choose to have a powerful energy around money, even in times when I haven't had a lot of money or when I've been in debt, right? Because it takes, time to build and time to learn. And the more you know, the better you do. And so it's so powerful in that aspect. So for me, that money energy and the thought work that I had to do, and also having team members, right? If I wouldn't have been working with high ticket coaches to start my business, I never would have priced it like I do. If I wouldn't have had a strategist for the last 2 years, I would never have built out the programs that I have, right? You have to bring people on your team that have a different mindset than you. So if you're like, oh, I want to bring my best friend on, that's great. But if they don't have different thoughts than you, you're going to stay where you're at. And it might be fun, but you probably will not shift. So I actually just brought on a new member of my team and went back and forth with my chat GPT to kind of make and create this job description because here's what I love to do. And I know my zone of genius. And number one, know your yourself well. If you don't know yourself that well, and you might be like, oh, I know myself. It's like, ooh, right. There's a lot of things you probably still don't know about yourself. There's a lot of things I don't know about myself. And so the more I know myself, whether I love the 6 Working Geniuses by Patrick Lenciani. And so I know what my geniuses are. I know I'm a manifesting generator, which means I have a lot of ideas. I want to shift very often. I want to, do new things all the time. So I get energy from creating, from coaching, and from praying. So I love to do those things. And then, right, like, so I love the ideas and I love to create it. And then you've got this gap, right, that you've got to like from awareness of what you do to getting into the room. And then I love to coach. So like, how do I bring someone onto my team who's really good at integrating and implementing? Because that's not one of my geniuses. And so I just brought on a strategic operations partner, and it's so much fun.
That's so beautiful. I'm so glad that you're into human design too. It's so funny. You're a
Yeah, what are
manifesting
you?
generator. I'm
What
a
are you?
projector, by the way.
Okay. I know projectors. They're like much different energy than me.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my God, I can't keep up with you guys, but it's pretty cool. Oh man, you mentioned so much, and even as you're speaking, we're talking about the energy of money, and I was like, "Ooh, I got a lot of work to do because I don't feel super grateful about paying the IRS sometimes." So like,
Yeah. And it's
that's
like,
the one thing I gotta work
wow,
on.
I get to pay them this much money. That means I made this much money. And then also,
Yeah.
in addition to that, I've been learning so much about the health of my wealth, investing, right? Like paying my kids, investing in their 401k, right? Like reducing that fluidity of my business so that number one, I'm not spending on things I don't need. And right, my family is my board of directors. So you better bet your bottom dollar that I'm taking my board of directors on a board of directors trip at least a couple times a year and in the future to different countries, right? And so we get to have strategies as a business owner as we grow to be able to support our true dreams and vision. And that oftentimes includes our family and friends.
Speaking about the future, you mentioned your family, you mentioned bringing on people on your team. I'm kind of curious about your future, right? Like, I guess you've been 9 years into this. And so where do you want this coaching business to take you in the next few years? Do you have like desires to scale, desires to hire more people, any secret dreams that no one knows about? Very curious on that.
Yeah,
end.
100%. My dream is always dreaming, but my brain is always dreaming, my beautiful brain. And by the way, you all listening, you have a beautiful brain too. So just tell yourself that. Thank you, beautiful brain, for being here. And so, fun fact is that I am just about a week away from graduating from a program called Goldman Sachs 10K Small Businesses. Now, this program is all over the nation. It's basically they pack a 2-year MBA into 12 weeks. It's intense. And so I've been able in that process to create a growth opportunity. And my growth opportunity is supporting a certain number of women, 2 women a month in my HypnoBiz program, because 70% of the women who go through HypnoBiz up level into my mastermind. And that's incredible because the support is just there. They know me, they trust me. I'm relatable. And the energy, right? When you put yourself in a room with an energy that is different than yours, that is looking to that next level, your energy will start to shift too. And it's really beautiful to see. It's really beautiful to hold space for those women. And so stepping into and executing more in my growth opportunity, bringing on my strategic operations partner. And someday I will speak to rooms of 100,000 people to share my message. I love public speaking. I'm meant for the stage. God has given me a gift and I want to share that message. So I already have 3 speaking engagements booked already for 2026. And so it's so much fun. So writing a book, I have a shiny object list, you guys. Like this is why, because I could just like pause everything and start working on these things. But as you know, everything has timing, right? And so also I have a couple books. I want to write a book with my husband because he's very level-headed. He's very not like me, which is good, right? For the relationship. It's like bringing someone on my team who's like very structured because I don't love doing those things. And so my husband is very much a realist and he's honest. And I grew up in a space where people loved me so much that they maybe weren't always honest with me because they didn't want to hurt me, right? I lost my mom when I was 4 years old. And so everyone wanted me to be happy and I don't blame them, right? Like didn't want to see me sad, right? They wanted to do everything they could to make me happy. And then I developed those same tendencies, right? Oh, I got to make everyone happy. But what I've learned is that when we can, because most people are like, well, I can't be sad and have something good happen. And I'm like, no, I love the word and, right? You can have hard things happen. You can feel sad and at the same moment find joy and happiness. I truly believe that.
Yeah.
You can be a good mother and create $1 million business. So replace that word or with the word and everything in your life will change, because so many of us put ourselves in these buckets. And I'm like, no, you get to do both if you choose to do both, but we limit ourselves so much in that. So those are just like a few tip of the iceberg. I've had a journal kind of draft prepared. I'd love to start a podcast. Yeah, there's so much goodness that is going to come out. And this, right, this is on my phone. This is my screensaver on my phone. This is only the beginning. Because remember, there's no final version of your life or your business.
You know, one of the things I'm thinking about, I was like, oh yeah, this person's totally a manifesting generator for sure. Like just when you listed everything out. But also something I think about too is like, I think about this a lot, especially during like different modalities of my business or my life, right? Like in jujitsu, right? Like I get choked all the time. I train fighters. I train world-class fighters. I'm getting choked. It's not fun getting choked out sometimes, but it means that I'm actually growing. As I'm thinking about your story, as you're trying to go toward to speak on more stages, write this book, do the podcast, what are some growing pains that you're noticing right now? Anything that's kind of unexpected on your end?
Yeah, great question. So growing pains for me include, that, and I don't know if I absolutely 100% love this phrase, but like slowing down to speed up, right? I can put the cart way in front of the horse. And you all have heard from me today that I say yes, and then I figure it out on the back end. That isn't always the best business practice. And so when I can be, because then a lot of times what you're doing is you're making an emotional decision. But now that I am so much more regulated, right, I can make a decision based on the data and get the drama out of the way. And that's really, really powerful, right? I've had clients come to me and they're like, you know what? Oh my gosh, I'm just not doing so good. I'm not where I thought I was. And I said, hold up, let's look at the numbers. She had grown 184% in the last 2 years. I'm like, you say you're not growing fast enough, right? So wealthy women talk in percent. So if you're looking at dollar signs or you're looking at numbers, like I encourage you to just shift it to a percent and just see what happens in your beautiful brain. Because we have to trick our brain, because our brain tries to trip us up all the time. So we get to have fun with it. So some of the growing pains with that I've seen as I grow is, right, you like put yourself in higher level rooms. And when you do that, I don't know any woman, any person who, when they put themselves in a higher level room, they don't have some way, shape, or form of imposter syndrome. What the heck am I doing here? I don't think I'm right. Like, look at all these things, right? This comparison, this imposter. Maybe you put people on pedestals, right? And so just seeing everyone for who they are, and also knowing that like you never know what's going on behind the scenes. And so just stay in your lane and keep showing up, because that has halted me in the past, right? I'd like every time you up level, you're going to feel like it's safer to shrink, right? And I have the quote on my wall here from Marianne Williamson. It's from the speech from Nelson Mandela, but your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightening about shrinking. And so when you shine brighter, you allow other people to shine brighter, but we have to unlearn that every day. This isn't right. Like these are stories. This is our part of our humanness, right? So I will have women come to me. They're like, I already worked on that. Why is this coming up again? I'm like, stop asking yourself why and acknowledge it. Say like, wow, oh, hey, fear. Of course you're here. I'm doing something I've never done before. Hi, how's it going? And you get to talk to it, and then you get to process it through it like that, versus shame and guilt and shoving it down, which is just going to make it fuel this nasty smoke inside of you that's going to keep billowing out in all the wrong places.
Yeah, I think Ben Hardy has like a great quote or a great book title. It's called like The Gap versus the Gain. And a lot of times we just focus so much on the gap, like, oh my God, why is this happening? Why is this happening over and over again? What we fail to realize is the gain that we've had, where maybe, for example, if we're using MMA, maybe we still do get punched in the face sometimes, right? We're human, but it happens a lot less than before when we were first starting out. And the same can be said for business, for our personal life, for our personal growth as well. So I love that. Oh my God, I feel like I could talk to you forever, Helen, but there's so many games I want to play and all that, but we're running out of time. Last question for you. How can people find you and connect with you? I want to make sure that we have enough time to speak about this.
Great question. So I am on all the social media outlets. I hang out most on Facebook. So check me out there. I just got done doing a kind of a live 4-part series called The Abundance Era, which was super fun. And then every Friday, if you are feeling like there's something missing in your faith at 11 a.m. Central Time, I do a devotional, a scripture for women who are high achievers, who are giving so much yet may feel empty at times. And that's called Through the Lens of Love. So that that streams live on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. So you can find me, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, also my website, www.heleneimers, that's HELENEIMERS.com. And you can see everything I have to offer on there. I've got a Power Pods yoga. You can go ahead and get your hands on the book that I'm a co-author in. You can check out all of my programs and request to talk to me about speaking engagements. If you have an upcoming speaking engagement coming up that you would love someone to just bring life and motivation and presence to the stage.
You know, Helen, one of the things that sticks out to me throughout this conversation, even on our pre-podcast, is the energy that you have. And something that I just love is like how authentic you are about like, hey, not having everything figured out and just like building things along the way and kind of transfer it. Like, it's so easy to get caught up to be like, oh my God, I don't know, that's doom and gloom, right? But then to shift it, be like, oh my God, we get to explore this and we get to like kind of see what this looks like. How exciting,
Yeah.
I love that vibe from you. And, one of the quotes that you referenced, you brought up so many books today too. Like, I'm a huge book reader, by the way. I've
Me
never
too.
heard of some of these books. Yeah, you said a quote and I forgot who, but you said playing small doesn't serve the world. So I just want to remind you, Helen, that your work matters. I love your work and I appreciate you coming on to the podcast today, just sharing your wisdom, and not only your wisdom, but that like the energy that business can be fun. It is fun.
Yes.
If we choose to make it be. So yeah,
It's so
thank
much
you
fun. I have several desks. Like I like to move around in my workspace and I have a sticky note right over there at my other desk that says, "Are you having fun?" A constant reminder. And let me just tell you, if you're an entrepreneur, if you are in business, if you're living life, which you all are, please remind yourself every single day, have sticky notes, have quotes, have thoughts, right? Because again, our brain is going to want to try to play small. It's going to want to try to stay safe. And I'm just so grateful for this opportunity you had mentioned right there in that kind of send off there about not having it all together, right? And that vulnerability of it all. Definition, something I love to help myself and my clients too is to define words. So my definition of success used to be that I had all my shit together, and success felt awful to me because I never had it all together. And so if my first definition of sales was getting someone to buy something, puke, no wonder I was like trying so hard, right? And so if you're struggling with something, just take a step back and define what that word means for you. And then because this life, this business is one big, beautiful game that we get to play, you get to recreate, you get to have another thought about that. You get to redefine so that you can have fun in this life. And yeah, this has been a pure like treasure of a conversation. I'm so grateful for your time and your energy as well. And so grateful for anyone listening, whether you're listening today or 2 years from now, like there's a reason you pushed play on this.
Thank you again so much, Helen. I love this episode. Thank you.
That's it for this episode of Career Coaching Secrets. If you enjoyed this conversation, you can subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening to this episode to catch future episodes. This podcast was brought to you by Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to $100,000 years, $100,000 months, or even $100,000 weeks, all without burning out and making sure that you're making the impact and having the life that you want. To learn more about our community and how we can help you, visit joinpurplecircle.com.